welcome everyone into another episode of the trivia game that's sweeping the nation, quite honestly. Win Leo's Money. And this is now, our fourth week, I guess it is. And we're going to try a little something different. Now, I am Jake the Snake, Jake Robinson. I'm coming out of Pawleys Island, South Carolina. I'm coming out of the Robinson Gearing Studio Complex. And I am joined, as usual, at the head with my trusty producer, Mr. Brian Belzita. How you doing today, Brian? I know we had some technical issues, but we're making it through, baby.
Seems like we're good to go now, Jake. I am ready to go, so do your thing.
Let's do the thing, baby. Okay, so Win Leo's Money. A lot of you have seen it now. We have Leo Jahn coming out of Australia, and he's kind of like the trivia guru. Well, this week he's beaten. Let's see, who is he beating? He's beaten Jared Kopp out of Virginia. He's beaten Cecil Hackworth out of Florida. He has beaten Tom Fogarty out of California. So he's pretty much dominated the Americans, and now he has his sights set on international destruction. We're going to do a little bit of international style Win Leo's Get Money here. I got the international player in the Himalayas, my man Marek Szolgai, coming out of Czechoslovakia by way of the UK. How are you today, Mark?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you for having me.
It's so good to see you. And I know you're like, who is this third Leo? I'm the international dude in this place. I'm taking all his money and I'm taking the crown, right? Isn't that what you told me?
Well, I hope so, but, Leo's the best.
That, right?
So he's the defending champion.
I'm glad to have you in here because, you and I have talked a little bit, and you have kind of like this amazing fucking story, man. If you don't mind, we talk about it for a little bit here. Now, the Berlin Wall falls in 1980, correct? You're born a year later, 1981, right? So maybe your parents were like celebrating the fall of that wall, and next thing we know, we got a little Szolgai running around, right? That's how that goes down. So a year later, you're born. But Czechoslovakia is still under communist rule. You don't really know much about it because you're a kid at this time. They become totally free, I guess you could say, when you turn 5. What did your parents ever tell you about some of the way it was in the communist world that you grew up in as a little boy?
Well, the most amazing thing to me was like in the communist, you couldn't just go to a store and do your shopping. You were given food, like you were given portions. You had to queue, and you got like two bananas, 2 apples, and stuff like that. You couldn't just buy anything you wanted. The state issued you whatever you need, whatever they thought was necessary for you to survive, but you couldn't like get 10 bottles of beer or whatever. You just
what a sad existence now. And then 5 years later, you turn 5. The country goes free, and it must have been a real culture shock for them. I guess the waning years of after the Berlin Wall. You're kind of looking around at an outdated view of what Europe was after World War II, and you kind of grew up in Czechoslovakia. And did you have any exposure to baseball while you were in Czechoslovakia?
No exposure at all. I actually only knew the sport existed, but I'd never seen it before, never heard it, never.
And what sports were you really into?
Well, my country is an ice hockey country, first and foremost. And then we've got a weird thing for football, like soccer.
Soccer,
like,
sure.
That's like the main sport in Europe.
Right. I mean, some of the greatest hockey players in the world. My favorite is Jaromir Jagr. He's my favorite hockey player ever. That dude was a fucking badass. I'm a Pens fan. Lemieux is the shit, but I tell you, I seen Jagr with like two dudes hanging on his arm, one guy hanging on the leg, and he still scored that mother. Jaromir Jagr was a badass dude. So you grow up in Czechoslovakia, now the Czech Republic. You're more or less a soccer and ice hockey fan. You don't have really much exposure to baseball at this point, and
that's right.
You decide at a very young age, at 20 years old, that you're going to move to the UK all by yourself, right?
Yeah.
What do your parents say about this?
So my mom, she wasn't very pleased because she's a highly educated person. She got 3 degrees. She's got degrees from science, chemistry, like physics, biology, and all that. And
Right.
she wanted us to carry on in her path, like
Right.
to
She saw
work.
you as an intellectual type, right?
Yeah.
You speak 7 languages, isn't that correct?
Well, I speak like 6 fluently, and then I could like do a couple more if the conditions were right, like brain, like I have to fish
Gotcha.
out some because it takes a lot, like, to remember if you don't use them on daily
Sure.
basis. So
And yet, I do feel that is ironic that you speak 6 languages or so, and you still don't know how to spell Mark. But we'll talk about that down the road. I mean, that's an unusual way to spell Mark. You know that, right?
well, that's the European way to Eastern European.
I gotcha.
That's
I'm
what the
just an
Russians
ignorant
do.
American. So you get to the UK. You're 20 years old. Your mom is like, I cannot understand this. You
Yeah.
are a smart kid. I'm a very educated woman. Now, you told me your dad, he's kind of like the opposite. Like, hey, man, go have an adventure. Enjoy your life,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So
Finally
your
getting
dad
it.
went out that
Finally,
hard.
we'll have the place for ourselves.
So you're like this 20-year-old fucking kid, man. You got no friends. You're in a foreign country.
Yeah.
How lonely are you?
Well, my first, thing when I got over here to UK was I was going to like experience the life over here, like see how it is, and based on that I would make my decision whether to stay or go back home. I had some savings, so I tried to start my own life on my own feet, and
What an incredible journey.
I stayed here ever since.
Now, you told me when you moved into the UK, and I'm just trying to hurry this along so we can get to the game. I know we got Leo working. You told me that you didn't really discover baseball in England, but you discovered from American GIs. And tell me about that.
Well, I went over to Far East, to Jordan, to work as a translator.
How old were you?
I was 20. That was my first ever job.
Do you hear this shit, Belzito?
Yeah, it's amazing.
So he's like a 20-year-old kid. He leaves his country, goes to England, decides, I'm gonna do something in the war. I'm gonna help become like a translator for these GIs. So you go to Jordan. You go to the Middle East in the middle of fucking wars and God knows what else is going on over there. That's you meet these GIs, and what happens?
So, I actually bumped into American troops, and I made good friends with them because, like, English was one of my better languages that I spoke pretty good. So I got a good connection with them, and you know how proud nation Americans are. Wear always the U.S. flags and baseball caps. That's the thing that you see.
Right.
And when the troops weren't in action, when they were discharged, they always wore like the Red Sox or Yankees hats, and like always engaged in conversations about the sport. And I kept hearing about it all the time. They kept telling me like how exciting it is, like they can't wait to go home and like meet friends, go to the ballpark, and
that's awesome. And again, we're kind of moving along because I could sit down with you for like an hour, dude. I could really dissect you. But you tell me that you saw Miguel Cabrera, and you were like, I don't know much about baseball, but I know that dude is amazing, correct?
Well, yeah, he was the first player that caught my eye because when I first started watching, when I got home from work at that time, I could catch some East Coast games. And that was like around the 2012-13 range of years when the Tigers were on the rise, like they were pretty good. So I obviously like looked for the teams at the time who were good. So because I wanted to see the best, like who's the best. And every time I turned on the Tigers game, like I had the pass, and this guy Miguel Cabrera, he came to bat, and like nothing got by him at the time, when he wanted to put down, and I was
the
like,
sound
amazing.
of his ball hitting, everything about him was different, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, look, man, like I said, I can seriously sit down and talk to you more. We're going to have to bring you back at some point, maybe in one of these other shows that we do, because there's still a lot more to this story. There is a lot more meat on those bones. You and I had a fascinating conversation. But at the end of the day, we are here for, one moment, for one reason, and that's to win Leo's money. How you feeling today? You feeling confident?
I feel all right.
Okay. That's better than nothing, I think.
Yeah.
So, you know how it goes, right? We give you 9 questions.
Okay.
The time clock just moves wherever you stop. If it's a tie, whoever's got the best time wins. You can pass, we can go back, or you can just say stop the clock.
Cool.
You understand?
Yep.
All right. Are you ready for Win Leo's money?
Let's go.
Let's go. I'm going to lock you in. All right. Belzito, don't start the clock until I complete the very first question, please.
You got it.
And here we go. Who is the only pitcher to win at least one World Series game in 3 different decades?
Jim Palmer.
What team did Babe Ruth hit his first home run against?
Yankees.
Who was the only player to play in a Little League World Series, a College World Series, a Major League Baseball World Series, Olympics, and WBC?
I have no idea. Cody Bellinger.
You want to pass?
Pass, yeah.
What Dodgers pitcher had the best ERA in the NL for 4 consecutive years?
Koufax.
Huh?
Koufax?
Who was the first player to make $1 million a year?
Oh, I knew this. Pass.
Whose baseball card is worth the most money on the open market?
Honus Wagner.
Which team was the first to turn 2 triple plays in a game?
This is just going to be a wild guess. Phillies?
You said the Rays? How many baseballs could Johnny Bench hold in one hand?
7.
What song has been played at Fenway Park during the middle of the 8th since 2002?
Which what?
What song has been played at Fenway Park since 2002 in the 8th inning?
Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond.
You want to stop the clock or you want to go back to the 2 you passed on?
Yeah, let's do them again.
Okay. The first question you passed on. Who was the only player to play in Little League World Series, College World Series, Major League Baseball World Series, Olympics, and WBC?
Olympics. Yeah, Bellinger is wrong. I don't know. Adam Jones?
And your other pass. Who was the first player to make $1 million a year?
Jesus, I knew this, but I can't remember. I'm just gonna wild guess. It's wrong. It was a... No, pass. I've heard about it. Who?
Holy shit, dude. How do you think you did, Marek?
Well, hopefully I got at least one right.
Yeah, 1. You're hoping for 1?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Marek, or Mark, I'm sorry, brother. Mark, you got 5 right.
Oh my God, seriously?
Seriously.
Well done.
Let's
well
go
done,
through them
sir.
real quick.
Well
Thank you.
Who was the only pitcher to win at least one World Series game in 3 different decades?
That's
you said
right.
Jim Palmer? That's correct.
Yes.
What team did Babe Ruth hit his first home run against? The New York Yankees is correct. Who was the only player to play in Little League World Series, College World Series, Major League Baseball World Series, Olympics, and WBC? You got that wrong. It's Jason Varitek.
Oh, Jason
What
Varitek.
Dodgers pitcher had the best ERA in the NL for 4 consecutive years? Clayton Kershaw, you big dummy.
Okay.
Who was the first player to make $1 million a year? It was Nolan Ryan.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. I knew that.
Whose baseball card is worth the most money on the open market? You got that right. It's Honus Wagner. Which team was the first to turn 2 triple plays in a game? You said the Rays. The answer is the Twins. How many baseballs could Johnny Bench hold in one hand? You got that right. It's 7. And what song has been played at Fenway Park during the middle of the A since 2002? And you got that right. It's Sweet Caroline. So, holy smokes, Marek. I mean, you pretty much smoked it. Hey, fellas, if you want to go ahead and bring Leo in here.
For the record, Mark, I got 4 during the testing during the week, so well done, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Leo is in serious trouble. Have you already sent the invite to him?
He is on his way in right now. He should be popping up on the screen shortly.
How are we looking on time, Brian? Do you know by any chance?
It hasn't shown me. It hasn't given me any kind of indication that we're in any parallel time, so we should be pretty good.
There he is. There he is. Leo, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, good evening, mate.
Right, mate.
Good morning for me.
We're doing good. How's it looking on this beautiful Sunday morning out there in Melbourne, Australia?
Yeah, it's really sunny. Heading off to play golf a bit later, so yeah, good weather for me.
Does it get dry there? Is it like a dry climate?
Yeah, Melbourne is very dry.
Dry. It looks dry.
Yeah,
that shit looks dry.
Melbourne is one of the coldest cities here, but also very dry.
So, Leo, I want to thank you for hanging in there. We had some technical difficulties. We're running a little behind in time. I just want to talk a little Orioles with you real quick. Trey Mancini, the loss of him, that's going to be an awful loss. I mean, I don't know how they make that up offensively in that lineup if and when baseball comes around. What do you think, bud?
Yeah, it's a big loss. It's our signature player, the only one who had a really productive season last year. The other one would have been Jonathan Villar, offensively, and Villar is gone. He's gone. So we rely on a bunch of, promising players. And
untapped potential. Yeah. And, Mark's here, so, we both have, like, these young – I'm really worried offensively. Your team and my team, as a matter of fact, Mark. I'm hoping that, what's his name? Mountcastle. Ryan Mountcastle can at least hit the ball, pick up some production somewhere. Some of these young guys, a chance, Cisco. Somebody's going to have to step up and fill that void. Now, Leo, you did tell me about Armando Galarraga, who had kind of the same issue as Trey. Isn't that correct?
Yes. I met him. I don't know what year it was. I went to private box in a game back in Winter League Baseball in Venezuela. I don't know, would have been before I came here, 2006 or 5. And I was with my son, who was like 9 years old then, and they were picking kids from the stands to come out of the, I don't know, it was some sort of children's game or something, and each player in my team had to walk out with a kid, and my kid was assigned to Armando Galarraga, who's a very tall guy, by the way, and they went out of the field, and he signed a ball for him. He carried him around, and my kid was stoked. So even though he doesn't follow baseball as such, he's always wanted to see what Armando did, and well, not anymore because he's retired. But
that's awesome.
So, and he was a really nice guy, really laid back, and promising future. I mean, I thought he was going to do better than he actually did, and obviously, I've always been pissed off about the time they took the perfecto away from him.
Yeah, well, it was That was kind of taken away from him. That was definitely taken away from him. That's a shame. But you know what? In some ways, that moment's kind of lived on. It's never forgotten. You know what I mean? Like, if he didn't throw in a perfect game, he might be one of the list of, Tom Browning's guy we don't remember. So there's a good and bad to each side of it. But yes, he should have definitely had that complete game there. But I was also thinking about the big cat, Andres Galarraga. Didn't he have some kind of cancer or something? That the same thing that Trey Mancini has?
Yeah, I think 1998 he had he had melanoma in his back. They removed the cancer. He came back. He lost. I think it was 1988 or 1999 season, and his first at back in April 2000, he hit a 450-foot home run. His first at bat coming back from that. That was epic. That was epic.
Right. Well, hopefully some of that luck will pass off on us with the Orioles and Trey Mancini. I don't know what they're going to do offensively. I do like some of that pitching that's coming up. Dean Kramer, Matt Harvey, or the Harvey kid looked really good out of the dugout last year. John Means is for real. I don't think that was a rookie fluke at all. So we'll see where the Orioles go. I know we're running a little bit behind, so I'd like to make sure that we get your side of this story in here. The trials and tribulations here of Win Leo's Money. Week 4 now. It's an international little bloodfest here today. And Leo, how you feeling? You ready to defend your crown today?
Always ready.
Okay. Here we go. Brian Melzino, same deal. Leo knows the rules. There is no time limit, Leo. We just keep going with the time. If you want to pass and we go back, it's fine. It's whoever has the best time. You did keep the time on Mark's first run, right?
2 minutes and 42 seconds.
2 minutes, 42 seconds. We will give you the time. All right, Leo. You ready, buddy?
Yes, let's go.
Let's do it. Let's lock Leo in. All right, Leo. It's time to defend your crown, my friend. Who is the only pitcher to win at least one World Series game in 3 different decades?
I'll pass for now.
Who was the only player to play in the Little League World Series, College World Series, Major League Baseball World Series, Olympics, and WBC?
Mark McGwire.
What Dodgers pitcher had the best ERA in the NL for 4 consecutive years?
Sandy Koufax.
Who was the first player to make $1 million a year?
Dave Winfield.
Whose baseball card is worth the most money on the open market?
Honus Wagner. Or Wagner.
Which team was the first team to turn 2 triple plays in the same game?
Do you know that one? The Twins.
How many baseballs could Johnny Bench hold in his hand?
6.
What song has been played at Fenway Park during the middle of the 8th inning since 2002?
The Neil Diamond one, Sweet Caroline.
You want to go back?
Yeah.
What team did Babe Ruth hit his first home run against?
The Yankees.
And did you say who was the only pitcher to win at least one World Series game in 3 decades?
No, I haven't.
Right. Who was the only pitcher to win one World Series game in 3 decades?
Who? can't think of any. I'll pass. I can't think of any.
That's the last question. Want me to stop the clock?
Yeah. Stop it.
Okay, stop the clock. Well, Leo, how you think you did this week?
2 or 3 at the most.
Actually, you got 4 right this week.
Okay.
But that wasn't enough to beat Mark Szolgai. Mark Szolgai took your money. He took your 17 Australian dollars today from you. Make sure that I get your address and all, Mark.
How many did you get, Mark? How many did Mark
get? 5 right.
5.
Leo, you got 4 right. And I couldn't believe you got who was the only pitcher to win at least one World Series game in 3 different decades.
I got that.
Jim Palmer. 66, 70, 71, and 83.
Oh, yeah.
Another
question.
All right.
Another question I blew.
Let's go through the answers, okay? Excuse me. Let me get a drink of water here, fellas. Give me 1 second here. That was a good game, though.
Yeah.
Mark, you won 17 Australian dollars, which is $11.34 American. I'm not sure what it is in pounds. I will figure it out.
Even less.
Here's the questions. Who was the only pitcher to pitch to win at least one World Series game in 3 different decades? Jim Palmer. He had a World Series record of 4-2 with a 3.20 ERA, 64 2/3 innings pitched. He won games in the 66, 70, 71, and 83 World Series. Both of the losses he suffered in 69 and 79 World Series were shutouts. The O's bats just simply failed him. The second question. What team did Babe Ruth hit for his first home run? That was against the New York Yankees. Both of you got that right. It was May 6, 2015, so like 105 years ago. Sox versus Yanks at the Polo Grounds. It was a 4-3 loss. Now, the Babe went 3 for 5 with a home run, an RBI, and 2 strikeouts. Kind of sounds like players in today's games, right?
Yep.
Except he also pitched that day. 12 1/3 innings pitched. He faced 50 batters. He gave up 10 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts in the 4-3 loss.
And he had a hangover.
Yeah, and he was eating hot dogs between innings, playing with himself.
Yeah.
Number 3, who was the only player to play in the Little League World Series, College World Series, Major League Baseball World Series, Olympics, and World Baseball Classic? Well, the answer was Jason Varitek. Neither one of you got it right. Jason Varitek, Ed Vosberg, and Michael Conforto have all played in the Little League World Series, the College World Series, and a Major League World Series. Varitek separates himself because he's played in the Olympics and a WBC. Question number 4, which is, I can't believe Mark got this one wrong. This is the one that Mark should have got right. What Dodgers pitcher had the best ERA in the NL for 4 consecutive years? I think you said Koufax too, Bells, didn't you?
I said Drysdale.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You did say Drysdale. Yeah. So 2011, 2.228. 2012, 2.53. 2013, 1.83. And 2014, 1.77. Absolutely sick, disgusting ERA numbers there. Number 5, who was the first player to make $1 million a year? Both of you got it wrong. The answer was Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan, 1980, he left the Angels, signed with the Houston Astros as a free agent, 4 years, $4 million, and that quadrupled his previous salary that he had with the California Angels. Whose baseball card is worth the most money in the open market? Both of you got that right. It's the 1909 T206 Honest Wagner. It sold for $3.12 million in 2016. It's considered by many to be the Mona Lisa of baseball cards. Pirate Star halted the production of the card because he didn't want to promote tobacco use among youth. if you want to believe that story. I did go onto eBay the other day, and it's currently on eBay now for $2.2 million. If you got that laying around in your account somewhere, you can go and buy that.
Yeah, I'm going straight to eBay.
What team was the first to turn 2 triple plays? Leo, you got that right. Was that a guess?
I think I heard it somewhere. Somehow it popped
Okay.
out in my mind. Yeah.
July 18th, 1990, Twins versus Red Sox. They were both 5-4-3 double plays. Gaetti to Al Newman to Ken Herbeck. And they lost that game 1-0, by the way. Both of you got the next question right. How many baseballs could Johnny Bench hold in one hand? The correct answer was 7. And that actually came about because a little kid in the Cincinnati area had heard rumors that Johnny Bench could hold 7 baseballs in his hands, and he wrote Johnny a letter, and Johnny held 7 baseballs in his hand, and he held up the letter. You can see it. It's a real popular picture, and it's right on Google. And finally, the last question you both got right. What song has been played at Fenway Park during the middle of the 8th since 2002? And that's Sweet Caroline. It's written and performed by Neil Diamond, released as a single in 1969. And check this out, Leo. You might find this interesting. The inspiration for that song was President Kennedy's daughter, Caroline. He actually sang it to her for her 50th birthday.
Wow.
So there you have it, folks. Another awesome, unbelievable turn of events here. I mean, I could not have predicted. And it's amazing. It's so fun. I hope you guys have fun. Leo, we're going to do one more show next week with you, then we're going to take a week off. Is that okay with you?
That's fine. I thought Marek was going to take over then after me. No, I thought.
No, you're still our guy, Leo. You are still our guy. I got Kyle Chambers, the Mets fan, coming in. I want to thank everybody out there who has turned in. Brian, thank you for your exceptional work.
No
I'd like
worries.
to give a couple plugs out today. If you're on the computer, you want to read some good sports articles, I got my boy, Mikey Ford. He's on ClovisRoundup.com. You click on his icon. He's a tremendous fucking writer. Go check him out. Brian Belzito's got some things coming in the future that we're all excited about. What you got there, Brian?
I'm working on some other stuff for a Facebook group, a YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing it's going to kind of be short subject matter, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball. Then I'll do, once I get some of those short shows out there, I'm going to do some interview shows, maybe bring some of the guys from right here, some of you guys on. And so I'm looking forward to doing that. So
awesome. We look forward to it. We certainly look forward to that. And, you know, if you're not out there and you're not in the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network, I got to tell you, you got to come in. You're missing out. It's the greatest baseball Facebook room on the planet. And to all of my friends out there in the baseball universe, Mark Szolgai, Leo Jane, Brian Belzito, I love you guys. Namaste. And parents, if you see your kid and he looks bored, take him outside and play a game of catch.
absolutely. Absolutely. Leo, hit him straight today, brother.
See you, man.
Thank you. See you.